Did you miss me? Now I just need to Google how to be a good toy reviewer. All right, it says pick up a toy and talk about it. I can do. Oh wait, there's amendment or be Jobby the Hong. I don't know if I can do that third one, but I can definitely talk about this guy. My first Transformers purchase of the year. Transformers Legacy Evolution Prime Universe Skyquake. But who cares about the box? And the most pointless gimmick of ever, Evolution. Let's get him out of there. Here he is. I just want to give a leader class shout out to the Robot Scrapyard for hooking me up with this guy and always having the latest stuff. Did you hear they're opening a second location? Still not in Ottawa, but it's closer, I guess. I have no context of where anything is in Ontario other than Toronto. But yeah, what is up with that name? Skyquake. Maybe they're just fans of the 2015 film of the same name? Or big fans of Guile from Street Fighter 2? But they couldn't use the Sonic Boom due to copyrights. Skyquake! During pre-production, apparently this guy was going to be Skywarp. And I can totally see the resemblance. About the only thing they share in animation model would be Jet Canby for a chest. But I know what you guys want. Y'all want the Harry Potter jokes. Alright, I'll give you one. Why did Voldemort go to school? To get his Horcrux degree. That's what you get when you ask ChatGPT for a joke. But the figure, it's good, but I have varying degrees of nitpicks. And let's get the smallest nitpick out of the way first. These things on his shoulder pads. Oh wow, it stayed on. Barely. Pop off with almost no force. I'm sure you could probably super glue that in or something, but hilariously, this one legitimately does not fit in the other side. I I don't tolerances are I don't get it, but yeah. So a lot of my issues I have like we'll get into, but like the first thing I like about this guy is just his stance and his physicality. Like, hold on, here's a comparison to the Voyager bulkhead, and like he is filled out for a leader, which is very nice, but also a bit of a thing we'll get to. Let's go for the head. Well, it's not completely animation accurate. It is a bit more G1ified, and it does actually sort of have a nose. Yeah. I like the shape of it. Um, why the heck does he have a chunk of light piping in the back of his head when his light piping doesn't work? And why is the ball socket in his head also clear plastic? Like, excuse me? You're just asking for it to break. And like, if you're gonna paint his eyes, surely you would want to use a brighter color of red? Like the bright illumination on the box art, maybe? He just kind of. I can't tell if he's looking at me or not. He's very dead eyes. Um, Other than that, his arms do look a tiny bit thin. But then again, who am I to? I will understand if it's a sacrifice for the transformation, but they still look relatively good and are quite posable. We'll get to that. but I love the shape of his legs. Look how just, they look good. They're very streamlined, but also very bulky. Like like I imagine he would. You know. And we will talk about this junk on his back, but we'll get to posability. So his head is on a ball joint. It can go. It can look up. It can swivel. Can't really. Not really. And it can on a transformation slide. The shoulder pads are on a ball joint, a hinge, and a swivel, so they can get all out of the way. And I really like how much they not only cover the shoulder, but give him a lot of horizontal presence. Like these huge shoulder pads are really cool, and have weapon ports on them. Can you see the Decepticon badge there? Yep, there it goes. He does have one. Another issue I have. Listen to this. Oh, not that one. So forwards and backwards, good shoulder range. The pads barely get in the way, and they actively get out of the way. But listen to this. Oh God, I hate the sound. I feel like I've had this toy for a week, and it's done this since day one. And I don't know if I should get in there with some shock oil or something. It's just that is an awful sound because it is a ratchet joint, and you can literally see the mechanism right in there. Oh, and he can do that. He can butterfly his arm all the way forward, which I wish these panels tabbed in somewhere in his very hollow chest cavity. Like, I'm happy that they can do this because this isn't for transformation. They go backwards actually for transformation. But like, could they have tabbed in, please? I guess I could mention he's got a little bit of a paint chipping, likely due to the transformation, which we'll get to. He does have a bicep swivel, which is tighter than the butterfly joint. So like the butterfly joint just loves to go all over the place. A double jointed elbow affords him a very nice amount of curl and even a bit of a backwards joint, which helps suck in for that transformation. And he's got a wrist swivel. Kind of a shame he doesn't have a hinge downwards, which we'll get to. Like, we'll see why when his accessories. But he does have a waist swivel, which is nice and unimpeded by his jet mode on his back. And if you want to de-transform him a little bit, disengage, you can get a bit of an ab crunch, which is nice. You just have to peg it back in there. Now, on the opposite end of the shoulders are the hips, which are beautifully ratcheted. Can you hear that? Nice soft clicks going outward, or forwards and backwards. Even louder, sort of, going outwards. That one, this one's more clickety than that one. And weirdly, this is sort of his default stance, which I like because it's just enough of an A stance to give good dynamic posing, but also not too far out that he looks very awkward. Like if we were out here, it would be very awkward. But like you can go one click inward, which doesn't look good, and he can assume this sort of walking pose, which doesn't really work because he's, to borrow a phrase, quite a bit of a twat to balance. Like I want to say there's somewhere in between these two ratchets that would be like stock still, but he can't pull it off because he's falling over. And like, why is this one ratchet the strongest ratchet in his hips? I don't know, but I do know he has a thigh swivel and a weapon port and a Tamashii stage port, both in his ass. So take that however you will. Knee joint also double jointed, but you do have to a little bit disengage the transformation to get the most range out of it, which unclipped his waist for some reason. Yeah, but with that, you can get double jointed range, but it pinches on that panel. And his feet tilt a little bit, not very much, like that much. I have another question. I have lots of questions. I have the first 999 questions. Why is his heel spur a jet engine? When I mentioned he's a twat to balance, like, look at that. He's got no heel. I actually came home a couple days ago from work and found him like flat on his back on my computer. Like he's standing on my like on my computer, and he was just he fell on his back. And I looked down. I'm like, what the heck? Just like he's that hard to balance. So like this is what I call his default posture, and the best way to balance him is get him one click forward so he's bending over, and then he'll stand up perfectly fine. Yeah, he's standing there. But there's so much jet junk on his back that if you put him in that, he just goes. Another good way to make him stand up straight is with his accessories. And they actually did it. They gave him the proper freaking minigun, frame gun. And it's all right. Like, it's gorgeously detailed. It's got, one handle and a ball jointed secondary handle. So you can get him to all kinds of cool looking minigun poses, which would look cool if it were any other robot holding the minigun. I want you to take one look at that and ask and tell me, does this look cool? The answer is no. He does not look as cool as the Heavy from Team Fortress 2 holding a minigun. Like, he looks quite a bit awkward holding it, and his relatively skinny arms and necessary use of the butterfly joint. Like, hold on, can I make this better? It actually gets better when you just, I don't know, let him single hand a minigun. Because that is freaking more badass than anything. It's like, yeah, I can one hand a minigun. What? And you want to do that because his bullshit evolution gimmick, this golden piece right here, which is the ammo clip of the minigun, removes itself and is able to transform into a sword. Now, you think that would be cool, but you've just rendered yourself ammunitionless. You literally had the battle at a long range, and you lost your long range for very short range. Now, I want to make a joke calling this the piss saber, but like, if it's that color, you should probably drink some more water. Maybe consult a doctor, but Another thing I don't like about this, look how much clear plastic, and look right there. There's got to be some stress marks. Like, this is its default stopping point, but like you can push it further. But like, I guarantee this won't survive long. And another annoying thing, why the heck does it have a key that on its handle? Which means you literally can't put it in his right hand. Now, lefties rule the world and all that. I appreciate the shout out to left-handed people, and I will admit, he is even more badass wielding a sword and a minigun at the same time. Like, he is a freaking one-man army. But I digress. This minigun has been rendered useless. It has no ammo. At this point, it might as well be a melee weapon. And could they have afforded, like, budget out, like, moving parts? Like, that little gap right there totally looks like it could spin. Like, they'd have room to make it spin. But we must get to my biggest issue with this figure, and it is related to this sword, because it's clear plastic. Who the frick thought that was a good idea? Now, what you're seeing, if you're unaware, is breakage waiting to happen. Because not only is this way too much clear plastic for a jet engine that's really unnecessary, this is a major locking point for the wings. And in both modes, you literally have to pry it open. I'm pretty sure I'm using literally in the correct terms this way, but like, you have to crack it open. Like, I'm gonna start the transformation to jet mode by doing this. For fuck's sake. Like, it was literally so clipped in when I got him out of the package in jet mode, I thought I was gonna break it. Having to take that off. Like, I genuinely was worried about the stability of this. Because look at this. Clear plastic clips. For booting up cold. Seriously? Alright, let's get into this transformation. Because it's, I want to say, almost the saving grace of this figure. You can start it anywhere, but I'm going to do a few small steps. So open this panel up, fold the wrist in, shrink the arm, and we'll just leave it there for now. The same thing on the other arm. Also, these panels execute here better than they are on G-axis. Where is my... I can't remember where I put my G-axis. Somewhere on my display. We're going to come to the hips. I will give him 1 point of credit, so I don't look like I'm slagging him off too hard. I really love the fact that these jet wings fold up into the backs of the shins to cover up what could have been a very hollow gap, and then fold out in a really cool way. Like, that kind of blew me away when I got them out. Like, when I first transformed my legs, I'm like, oh, that's a really bad gap. And I saw these panels, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So then we're going to rotate to get these out of the way, because then we have to bring the wings all the way to the other side at the same time, moving the arms to the back. And we have to rotate the translucent bit around like that. We can do the same thing on this wing. bring it around, rotate the arm, put it on his front, rotate that piece, and now we can lock the translucent clips. Oh, and a translucent port peg as well. Like, seriously. That was not a good idea. And we can rotate the legs back into position. And we already have the jet canopy kind of wanting to transform itself. So fold it all the way out. Rotate the shoulder pads so they're hanging out like that. Oh, and this is on a completely unnecessary swivel. But fold them like this. It doesn't, like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to bring it up. I really thought this thing collapses in further, like this jet canopy. The fan wanted to pop up. Like, I really thought it would somehow collapse, like, all the way to his head line. Like, go in further like it feels like it should. Like, but due to angles and stuff, it doesn't. But anyway, fold it out, fold these up, and swivel, push the head back. You have to put it up because that's the only way it's going to fit in the nose cone, and tab the nose cone in right there. You can totally see how paint would scratch right there where the wings sort of form the main body of the jet. I could, like, now we come to the really squeaky arms. So rotate them like this, make sure they plug together, and rotate them down like such. At this point, if you want to, you can fold the shoulder pads down. And then we deal with the legs. So you rotate them up, rotate them this way, and peg the foot into the jet turbine. I forgot to do that. And we're going to use the double hinge to collapse it in and tab it into the wing. There you have one leg done. And do the same thing on the other side. I don't normally transform him with this perspective. I'm normally looking at this side like you guys are. There you go. That is honestly a fun transformation. Minus the nightmare fuel. I feel like you could put that in things Transformers fans hate if he hasn't done it already. Shout out. But like every other step other than separating the wings is really cool. And honestly, this gen mode, I like it quite a lot when it's not doing that. So like, it's very sleek. There's very little robot kibble. Like, sure, you can kind of see the shoulders, but like, they don't offend me. Like they're incorporated into the vehicle as much as they can be. It's like, I don't feel like I can get mad at that. Sure, I wish the feet folded away. Like, and I don't know how he's going to fly on all these tiny wings with these 3 sources of propulsion, but maybe he'll be able to do it. And I want to say this looks like a secondary cockpit, which makes even less sense. Because you have a very nicely sculpted cockpit with 2 seats in it. What is the point of the translucent plastic? Like, it boggles my mind. And like, I really like the way the legs fold in, because it's it's easy to forget, but it's also like you can only do it one way. So once you remember it, it gets easier. And like they nicely peg into the wings for a bit of stability. And yeah, I like the shape of this jet, but it's just that one that that pushes it down from like the bottom tier of great into good. Now you may be asking me, but that's just one thing. Why? Holy crap! Here's why. This is a leader price toy. You're going to be paying 90, maybe $80 plus for this. I could forgive a lot of these problems if they were on a deluxe, because a deluxe is cheaper. It like I can understand it having a smaller budget, therefore they can't. They have to cut corners. But this is leader price. It's not even Voyager with like added bullshit. It's straight up a leader sized figure. So like, how did they mess up the budget this much, or mess up the parts count that these flaws, which would be relatively small, the wings are small, like they're that much bigger in my head because I paid $90 for it. And okay, we'll bring back the minigun, which is a nightmare in and of itself. But its barrel does have compatibility with blast effect parts. Okay, that's cool. So you have, hey, remember this? Is this still culturally relevant? Am I cool? Is this cool? Is this still a meme? Do we still not like Chefitron? I shouldn't have said his name out loud. But you do have a few ports for your weapon storage. You can plug it into the wing, sort of. You can plug it into there. The sword doesn't fit anywhere. Like you could plug it into the booster, which would actively get in the way, but you can't even do that due to the friggin'. You can. No. But the main place is right here on the underbelly, which, granted, is a very nice weapon storage option. Like, fold up the landing gear, which you do get 3 non-rolling pieces of landing gear, but like, that is a very realistic, in my opinion. So that gets a bonus point. And you also, to tie in with the evolution gimmick, you have these 2 tabs, which can fit, in fact, a deluxe. What's his name? Needle Nose. Who, I guess I should get Needle Nose. Let me guys know in the comments if you think I should get Needle Nose. But I know what you're also asking me. Well, it has so many flaws. Why did you buy it? Okay, I'll give you that one. But the main reason is the potential of this mold itself. So we already know his twin from the show, Dreadwing, is definitely a Dead Easy Gen Selects recolor with the blue and the gold swapping out from the green and the silver, which I didn't even talk about, but I do like this color scheme. It's very subtle and sort of not over the top obnoxious. Like the green and the silver and the red do play off each other kind of nicely. But there's so many other characters for this, like G1 Skyquake, for example, who's a toxic neon nightmare, or Machine Wars Starscream, or King Atlas, aka Die Atlas. Hey, he does in fact have something connecting him to Skywarp. He also has a bunch of repaints that are going to be coming out, and like you can get like the Gigant Bomb and Smoke Jumper out of Neil Knows. They're definitely doing that. Like, there's so many different color variations and characters you can do with this big jet jerk. And this is just the first one on the market, and I really wanted to see how he would do. So overall, I like him, but he's got quite a few problems. Like, more problems than I would normally notice. So, like, he's a hard recommendation. I don't know if Prime fans are going to like him because he does deviate from the Prime model, quite like Arcee and Bulkhead and Animated Prowl, who's coming out at some point. Like, I hope that any other version of this toy get rid of this translucent plastic. Otherwise, we'll totally have a Studio Series Jazz situation on our hands. And I really hope that's not the case. Because everything else about this guy is really cool. Like, the way he stands there looks cool. The way he... Okay, other than the shoulder ratchets, everything about his posability is very fun. Like, the weapon is cool. The alt mode is quite nice, but it's like, that translucent plastic is almost too big of an issue. Because of the sword and the back. So I almost want to recommend him, but I also want to say, if you're looking at one of the other figures like Dragon Megatron at leader price point, or the upcoming Commander Armada Optimus Prime, and you're on a very strict budget, you might want to look past him. Maybe get him on sale, or like a different color, if you absolutely have to have a version of this mold that I hope, again, does away with this translucent plastic. Because there are a lot of cool things about this toy. It's just, I question his durability. So, thank you for watching. And if you haven't enjoyed, well, enjoy this clip from Transformers Prime Butt Sensor.
Casualties are an unfortunate consequence of war, but I assure you your twin met his end with great honor.
Which you disgraced by raising him from the dead!
You know about that?
Oh, that's why they call him Voldemort. Anyway, keep it weird. And we'll see where Legacy takes us next. I actually don't know. There's a convention coming up at the end of March. So we'll see when I get there. Bye.